Hello and welcome back, everyone. I am Natalie Schlute, your manifestation coach and your spirit guide channeler. Today's episode is so important. I've been wanting to make this particular episode for quite a while, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. I think this is extremely important information for you to hear, and honestly, I don't see anyone else talking about this, and perhaps that's because just the nature of who I am, how I have evolved mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and career-wise with my skill sets, my background, my education, and what I have seen in my practice. This episode is specifically about why I stopped giving psychic readings. And I think this is really important information for you to hear because it's going to at least educate you on my experience, what I've been through, what I've seen, what I know to be true, and in my own opinion and in my own life and what I've experienced not only with myself but with my students, and how important this information is in order for you to make your own educated decision about how you want to approach psychic readings from here on out in your life. And I don't see anyone else talking about this. And that's why I think this particular episode is so freaking important. So the reason why I am creating this episode is specifically because I did do psychic readings for a while there. And about 3 years ago, I decided to completely stop with the psychic readings, and for good reasons. I have 3 specific reasons that I wanted to share with you today. And understand that the bottom line is you cannot manifest things as quickly as you want to if you're doing psychic readings and giving your power over to that. This is really important to understand because from my background, understand that I'm not only a very intuitive psychic person and I channel spirit guides, but I also have a lot of background education. I am a life coach. I'm a hypnotherapist. I do NLP mindset work. I have a degree. I've gotten my bachelor's, master's, and my PhD in metaphysical sciences, and I'm a doctor of divinity. I'm a minister of a spiritual church that I've created. So my education is very complex, and I'm going to guess that most psychics out there don't have this level of training and don't have these many certifications behind their back that allow them to have like the bigger picture perspective of what I do. Not only that, I think a lot of psychics out there, maybe it's just a natural skill set, it's something they've developed, and they don't have a lot of the textbook education that I do. In addition to that, they're probably not life coaches. They probably do not understand the subconscious mind and mindset work. Now, this is not across the board. I can't claim anything because I'm sure there are other people out there like me that have a lot more education and they are very intuitive and they are very psychic. And so there is an exception to that rule, but overall, you don't know what a psychic's education is, you don't know what their background is, and you don't know exactly how they're going to be able to help you. You also don't know what their experience is. A lot of psychics are doing one-off readings and then you leave and you never see them again. Or maybe you come back to them every once in a while, but they may not have the skill set to guide you through what's going on with your mind, your emotions, your spiritual evolution, what you really want to manifest. And so having that background and doing the work that I've done, I have seen through my long-term clients that I've had for years, how psychic readings affect them. And understand, I'm approaching this from a very holistic perspective of seeing not just seeing how my predictions did come true. On average, like a really good psychic is going to be anywhere between like 80 to 90% correct. And that's where I'm at with my predictions. I predicted, boyfriends coming into people's lives. I predicted the exact month that babies were going to be conceived and things like that, and years in advance. And so understand that there is a lot of accuracy. There can be high accuracy if you're really tapped in as a psychic, but that doesn't always serve the client. And most of the time, it does not serve them at all. And this is where I kind of want to give that precursor, that warning to why I have completely stopped doing predictions, because it actually takes away your free will. As a human being, what I saw psychologically happen with my students that I was coaching was at the moment I gave a prediction, suddenly they became fixated on that prediction. It was almost as if they were waiting around. Not that they were waiting necessarily. It's not like they stopped living their life or anything, but there was always this thing in the back of the mind. Oh, well, Natalie said this. Natalie said so-and-so was going to come into my life. And suddenly, the moment they had that prediction, it completely changed their thought patterns, it changed their emotions, it changed what they were fixating their mind on, and it changed their vibrational frequency. And the moment you have a prediction, it completely changes how you think and how you feel and how you act. And therefore, now it changes the trajectory of your future. And so when someone gets a prediction, what ends up happening is now the future has actually changed just from getting that prediction. And therefore, in that moment, often what ends up also happening is because they've had this prediction and they believe in the prediction, suddenly it changes how they're showing up, which means they're giving away their free will. We all have free will. We have free will to choose how we think, how we act, how we feel, how we show up every day, what actions we take. We create our future. I do believe there are milestones. I do believe that there are contracts that we come into this lifetime with about our personality and some of the maybe the big things that we want to accomplish. But that's just a handful of things in my personal belief system. And so when it comes to our free will, we have choices every single freaking moment of your life to choose how you're living and how you're showing up and what you're creating and when you're creating it. So understand that these predictions that people are giving you, they don't have as much power as you think they do. You have more power. You always have more power than anyone that is giving you any kind of prediction. You must have more power than any channeler that is channeling for you, any reader that is reading for you, because that is who you are. You are a powerful being. Every cell of your being in your physical body, every etherical cell in your soul that is 100,000 times greater than your physical body is so much more powerful than anything that anyone else can ever tell you. And I am telling you this because I want you to be in your power. I want you to take your power back. I want you to trust your own intuition and your own inner guidance more than you trust even my words. Like, that's how much I want you to be in your power, because that's the level of power that you have to have in order to truly manifest the amazing life that you want. I am here not to tell you what to do and to guide you and to make you reliant on me for anything. I want you to be so independent and so in alignment that you are vibrating at your highest and best light and living your best life every single moment. And the moment you play into a psychic reading or a psychic prediction of any kind, suddenly you are dimming your light. Suddenly you are giving away your power to the tarot cards, to the reader, to the channeler, to however it comes through, to a friend who has a feeling or a sense that you think is more intuitive than you. You think this friend is more intuitive than you, so you're listening to them and now you're fixating on that. Oh, well, so-and-so told me this. I want you to get rid of that pattern, because I want you to be in your power. I want you to be creating your life the way you want it by your choice and your free will, because you are a powerful, unlimited being that can create anything you desire. And I don't want anything to interfere with that. Now, with that said, I'm not saying that all psychic readings are horrible and bad or dark in any way. I personally don't believe that. I don't believe that psychic readings are of the devil or a horrible thing. I truly believe that we were given this gift, a gift similar to Jesus Christ, a gift similar to God, to be able to tap into the quantum field, to be able to have access to and connection to this a higher consciousness, this field that we are all connected to. We wouldn't have these abilities if they weren't a God-given gift, right? But it's how you use this skill set and it's how you use these abilities that really determines the outcome. And so often there are psychic things that come through that don't need to be expressed, that don't need to be told to the other person, because they're not necessarily going to benefit them in any way. It may actually take away their power. And with that said, I'm not saying you can never have a psychic reading again either. If you enjoy it, if you feel good about it, then by all means, go forth and do it. But be aware of the repercussions and be aware of how it shows up in your mind once you receive that reading. And you have that choice to stay in your power and to choose for yourself. Okay, I've got this reading, whether it's a positive reading or a negative reading, maybe some good things were predicted or some negative things in your future were predicted. Either way, you get to choose to believe it. You get to choose whether it intuitively resonates with you, and you get to choose if you manifest those things or not. They can tell you something bad's going to happen or something great's going to happen, and you can choose to make the good things happen faster. You can choose those negative things that are going to happen for them to not happen at all, simply by taking your power back and not giving the power to that prediction. You can show up better. You can choose how to navigate in a different way. And so the way I like to use my psychic skills now when it comes to coaching my students one-on-one or in my group coaching program in my online academy I have an academy called Step Into Your Power Academy, and within that, I do monthly, twice a month group coaching calls where people can ask questions about manifestation, about their intuitive skill set they're developing through the coursework that I have. And this is a really great place to get one-on-one feedback because, unfortunately, I can't be giving a free coaching to people through DMs and through emails. It gets to be too much. When you have so many followers, it really needs to be through a contained setting where I can actually have access to seeing you and feeling you through a Zoom call, and I can hear the details of your story, and we're in like this great energetic exchange. And so if this is something that you're interested in, be sure to get on my email list so that you can get notified when the doors open to Step Into Your Power Academy and my group coaching program again. But with that said, understand that these predictions can actually be used in a really positive way. So what I like to do with my coaching is, if I do have some psychic impressions coming up, instead of just saying, oh, I think this is going to happen for you in the future, instead we can navigate through that. We can realize that, hey, there may be this thing coming up. There may be this projection of something that you might encounter in the near future. And instead of just saying, hey, this is going to happen and leaving you to fend for yourself, which is what a lot of psychics do, I instead will help coach you through that. Okay, in this scenario, or if these things do happen, how are you going to approach that? Or just giving you some guidance on the skill sets without even mentioning what that prediction is. Because this is where empowering you allows you to be in your highest and best light. It allows you to navigate your life to the highest and best of your ability, for you to grow the fastest, for you to manifest the fastest, for you to evolve the fastest by you showing up and taking your power back. So I would much rather give you the tools that you need in order to be ready for whatever event is coming than to tell you what the event is, because you get more out of having access to the abilities, right? Having access to the frameworks, the thought processes, the actions, the things that you can do so that you can create your life, even though these potential predictions might come true. And so that you can navigate it better, you can really choose. You can take your power back in that moment. And this is something that you can also do if you're at home and you're doing tarot cards, or you get a tarot card reading. Understand that the tarot cards, they can be used not as a way to predict what's happening, but a way to help prepare you. So if you have, like, let's say a simple 3-card spread, like a past, present, and future card reading, and you're seeing what's going on, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, that was what I just went through the last couple months with that first card. That's my past card reading. And what you're experiencing in the now, oh yeah, that really feels like emotionally what I'm going through. And then you get a card for the future and like, okay, maybe there's some heavy stuff coming up. Whatever the reading predicts for you and whatever you're feeling, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, this is set in stone and this is going to happen. You can use it instead of, if this does happen, how can I choose to navigate this a little bit better? What tools do I have in my toolbox of all the skill sets that I learned from Natalie through her online courses, through her coaching, through, some of her freebies and the free content that she's got out there? What are some of the tools that she's already given me that I can now use in order to approach my life if these things do show up for me? How are they showing up for me right now? How can I use them right now? And those are things where, like, you can then really take action in the moment and better yourself, so that you raise your vibration in the moment, so that you attract more things in the moment, instead of just waiting around for a negative prediction that may or may not ever come true for you. So that's the first reason why I stopped giving psychic readings. It takes away your personal willpower, and I find that it really just messes with people's mind. The second reason why I stopped giving psychic readings is because the predictions are limited, right? It's not 100% true anyways. So why would I lead someone astray? If I'm only 80 to 90%, sure that this will actually play out, and that's really high. So for a psychic to be 80 to 90% correct on their predictions, that's actually on the high end. And so even as a high end person, why would I want to risk 10 to 20% of the time being completely wrong and throwing my students in the wrong direction? I don't want to lead you astray. I don't want you to be thinking something's going to happen, then it doesn't, and then I've mind warped you unconsciously or unintentionally. Like, that is not something that I want to do to you. I want to make sure that everything that I am giving my students and my followers is of the highest and best light, that it is for their highest and best purpose. And so understand also the nature of psychic predictions. You can only predict as a psychic based on a trajectory of what may or may not happen. So if I'm reading someone's energy in the here and now, say I'm giving you a reading right now, understand that the prediction is just an estimate. It is an estimate based off of all of the collective energy of who you are vibrationally of this lifetime leading up to this very moment right here. And with that energetic blueprint that I'm reading from you, my psychic ability allows me to then project. If you continue on a similar trajectory, a similar timeline, a similar growth pattern into the future, this is one option, the best option, the most likely option of what may happen. Now, understand the most likely option doesn't necessarily mean anything, because anything can change at any moment. You can choose in a snap of a second to show up differently, to think differently, to be different, to have so much conviction that your identity completely changes for the best or for the worst. Who knows, right? It can be either one. Something could happen and it can totally spiral you downward too. But understand that it is just an estimate. It is just an estimate based off of this one potential trajectory, and that's what comes up when I'm doing readings. It's based off of who you are in this moment and just assuming that you're going to keep going in the same direction, at the same velocity, at the same momentum, and all of that. And so it's just an estimate, but there are so many twists and turns. There are so many options every single day. Every moment you have a different option of how you want to think, how you want to feel, what actions you take, and how you want to show up. And that means at any given point, you can branch off of that path. Any given point, whether it's a prediction for a month down the road or 3 months down the road or a year down the road. Can you imagine how many potentials there are for you to shift your trajectory? It's pretty incredible how many times you can shift. Like every single moment you can shift in a new direction. And that's why it's so unpredictable. There's also the essence of some psychics who, when they're in the moment with you and they're giving you a reading, they're really reading who you are in that moment. So if you just got some bad news and then you sat down for this reading, suddenly your energy is very different than it was 3 hours ago when you were in a better mood, or yesterday when you were in a great mood, or yesterday you were in a bad mood. And it would have given you a very different prediction because they're reading who you are when you're in a bad mood versus a good mood versus a wonky mood versus you're tired versus you're cranky and you're hungry or whatever else. That is also where a little bit of the misunderstanding can come through with some psychics, depending on how they're doing their readings. And they may or may not know even what they're doing, right? This is a very elusive world. This is a world of energetic exchange. And they may just be reading you in the moment, not even doing a reading that's a compilation of everything leading up to this moment. And because your energy can shift so quickly in the positive or negative, and you can make choices that are so different that the trajectory, this is why there can be so many different outcomes when it comes to what a psychic is predicting for you. And it's really important to understand that so that you know this information and you can make a choice on whether this is even something you want to entertain at all. You may be much better off working with a life coach, working with a business coach, working with a therapist, working with someone, a counselor, and actually working through things in order to be in your highest and best light, in order to manifest more of what you want, than wasting your time and money with a psychic prediction. And so that's reason 2. The second reason is the limited ability of predictions. They are incorrect. I don't want to lead anyone astray. And most psychics are a lot further off than 80 to 90% with their correctness. Many of them are like 40 to 50%, and you just don't know what they're training or where the information is coming from or how they're predicting, and that can really throw you off too. Also keep in mind, with that said, your energy is slightly being manipulated when you have someone giving you a reading, so you really want to be careful with who you're allowing into your energy field to do that reading on you. The third major reason why I stopped doing psychic readings was because as I was going through this process of opening up my psychic and channeling skills, I began to raise my vibration very, very quickly. I had done so much inner work and I was working so hard. I was actually pushing probably a little bit too hard with how much I was channeling. Like, I got a little obsessive about it. I'm going to be honest. Like, this is a thing. People do this with manifestation too, right? Like, they get so into the manifestation that they kind of push too hard because they want to manifest so fast. Well, that is what I was doing with my channeling and psychic skills. I was pushing too hard, too fast, and it was a little too much for me. But at the same time, and that's probably why one of the reasons why I had kind of this massive life event where I needed to slow down with my injury and all of that in order to finally like really reintegrate all of this stuff that I've been learning and growing about. And so I'm human, right? We all go through our stuff. But with that said, as I continued to raise my vibration, I actually moved through psychic predictions very, very quickly. It was maybe this 6 months or so that I was starting to do that. And then as I started channeling, started channeling higher and higher spirit guides and collective consciousness. And what I found, which was very, very interesting, is that when you start to channel higher and higher levels of vibrational guides, you actually get to the level where you're reaching guides that are not going to be giving you any predictions. If they are very high level guides, spirit guides, angels, and so forth, they are not going to predict anything for you because they know it's not for your highest and best good to be receiving predictions. So I found that as I was channeling these higher levels of consciousness, it was no longer predictions, it was just advice, it was support, it was encouragement. It was the things that I was already doing with my coaching students, right? Like when someone's coaching you and they're helping and supporting you and guiding you and they're empowering you and they want you to be in your power, when you get to the higher vibrational guides, that's what you're going to be tapping into. And so I actually started finding that as I was channeling higher levels, and then I wanted to go and do a psychic prediction, I had to drop my energy. I actually had to lower my vibration. I had to lower where I was shifting my point of consciousness in order to tap into psychic predictions. And I was like, wow, this actually doesn't feel that great. When I was in a lower vibration, the psychic predictions felt very high. But then once I raised my vibration, the psychic predictions actually felt kind of low. To be very honest, you actually have to tap into guides that have information that are more of the earth realm versus the higher spiritual realms. And so you're actually tapping into lower level vibrational spirit guides when you're trying to access information that is predictive, which I don't know about you, but I would much prefer to be experiencing high level guides than low level guides. And so for me, it actually does not feel good to be doing psychic predictions anymore. Like it physically doesn't feel good in my body. It doesn't feel good in my consciousness, and it doesn't feel good in my vibration. And so it doesn't serve, I know now that it doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve my students. And because of that shift in the vibration, it is not something that I even want to deal with anymore. It like people still ask me sometimes when I'm in sessions, can you like read this? Can you read that? And honestly, I don't enjoy doing it because it's no longer in my consciousness as a high level thing to do for myself or for my students. So I encourage you to take all of this information in that I have just explained to you today and sit with it, meditate with it, ponder it, and see how you feel about it. Really ask yourself, does this information resonate with you? Does it make sense? Do you feel like there's a lot of truth to this? Because if there is, then this may help shift you. This may help shift some of the things you've been doing. Instead of pulling out your tarot cards to try and predict what's going to happen next, maybe you just pull out those cards or more of the angel, fairy, mermaid, or animal cards that are just helping to support your life, doing some of those card decks instead of the tarot cards. And maybe this will help you shift where you're putting your attention. Instead of going to a psychic, maybe now you hire a life coach. Maybe you join my online coaching program or something like that, where you're actually going to get more benefit. You're going to manifest faster. You're going to take control of your life more. You're going to take your power back, and you're going to be doing inner work on a much higher level. So once again, please be very, very careful when it comes to psychic readings. In addition to this, just this caveat, this warning, this thing that has been going on that I really have to address because it is so rampant and it is so big. I have found in the last couple of years that there are a lot of people on Instagram and probably on other social media platforms too that are impersonating people like me, and they are claiming that they are giving psychic readings in the DMs, in their messages, and they're asking for money. Understand that I have never and will never ask to give you a psychic reading, a tarot card reading of any kind in your DMs. I will never ask you for money in your DMs. I will never ask you to send me a PayPal or a Venmo link of any kind. All transactions that I do will always be through my website. They will always be through landing pages that are connected to my products and my services. And unless you ask for it, I'm not going to give you those paid products or services inside your DMs. So I will never message you about those types of things. I will message you to give you free content. Now, this is something that I do. I do like to reach out and try and build more personal connections with my followers. And I may not always be able to do this as my audience grows, but understand that I will reach out. I will give you a greeting. I may give you a freebie of some sort, whether it's a free masterclass or a free download or something like that. I do like to give free content because I want to offer something to you. I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart because I love and care about you and I want to support you in any way that I can. And I do have a ton of free content across all of my social media platforms. So there's a lot there to work with. And if you are ever ready to go further with me, then great. I am here for you. I'm here for you through my online courses and through my coaching programs, through my guided meditations and the book that I'm writing right now and other things products that I'm going to be coming out with. But understand that I do that out of the goodness of my heart. I don't expect necessarily anything in return. I'm not expecting you to purchase anything or buy anything from me. If you want to, great. If you don't, that's great too. Keep using all of my free content. I don't mind. Like, I'm here to change the world and to really influence you. And I'm here to give you a lot of value and content. So if you see anyone online that is impersonating me, understand that like this has been going on. At one point, there was like 3 accounts that I found in one day that were all impersonating me, and they were following my followers and then DMing my followers and telling them, hey, I'm in a good mood today, or I'm reading your energy and there's some stuff coming through. Would you like a reading? And then they were asking for money, and that is not me. People will steal my identity. They steal my name. They steal my photos. They steal my bio, and they go and create these other accounts under me. I even found the other night, I was out with friends and I was Venmoing someone to pay for dinner. And they're like, oh, which one is you? I was like, what do you mean? There's only one Natalie Schlute. I am the only one in the entire world. I am telling you this. No one else spells my name the way I do. And the reason for that is my husband changed his last name. It was originally spelled without an E at the end, and he legally added the E. So we are the only 2 people on planet Earth that have our last name. No one else spells it the way we do. I am the only Natalie Schlute in the world. And therefore, if you find any other accounts other than my primary Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, etc., it is not me. And I do not use Venmo. I do not use Venmo for any of my transactions. I do have a business PayPal account that is attached to some of my online products through my website, and I use a Stripe account so you can input your credit card information, but I will never give you like a Venmo link or anything like that. And I've actually found that there are multiple Venmo accounts that have taken my picture and that have taken my name, and maybe they add a few numbers or dashes at the end. Those are not me. Same with the Instagram accounts and so forth. And so understand, like, this is happening every single day. I am very active in my DMs, in my followers and my following on Instagram. And I find almost every single day, this is literally almost every single day of the week, I'm finding psychic scammers. They are messaging me. I see them in my followers, and I see that they've either taken my identity, or I know they've taken an identity of some other spiritual guru in the same realm as me. And I can tell because I follow the original person, and I can tell that this is a fake. And so I am seeing these people. I'm trying to block them, but understand that they also block me sometimes before I can block them. And then once someone's blocked you, I have no control over me blocking them back. And so that's kind of frustrating because they can continue to steal all my stuff. One way to be able to notice that this is happening is if you go to the account, like let's say you think it's me, but it's not. Go to the account, and I want you to scroll down to the photos. Look at the posts, and typically they will all be uploaded the exact same day. I will only do 1 to 2 posts a day. I'll have comments, and it goes back really far. But sometimes there's only a dozen or 2 photos. There are screenshots, and they've all been loaded on the exact same day. There's maybe no comments on there. There's no link to my website in the bio and things like that. They can get really high followers because what these psychics do, or they're not even really psychics, right? They're scammers. They're telling you that they're reading your energy, and they're not. And then they're asking for money. What they do is they will steal my identity, and then a few days later, they will go and rotate to another spiritual guru, and they'll use the same account. They'll just change the URL, they'll change the photos, and all of a sudden now they're doing it with another person, and they just rotate. They rotate through person after person after person, because there's been a few that didn't block me first and I was able to report and block them. But by the time the Instagram did their investigation, they're like, oh, they're not stealing your identity, because now they've already switched to another person. So we can't even catch these people. So I just want you to be very, very aware that this is a total scam. Do not give your money to psychic readers online. If you have not seen their face, if you are not on a Zoom call with them face to face, if you're not hearing their voice, if you don't know who they are or what they're doing, do not give them money. Don't pay them, because this is happening over and over and over. There's thousands and thousands of people doing this now, and it's really unfortunate, because they're preying on your vulnerability. They're preying on you thinking that you're getting some valuable high content, and they're using my identity for it. They're using other people's identity for it, other channelers, other guides, other people that channel angels and so forth. And it's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this is what's happening in the world right now, and there is so much fraud now with the internet age. But as long as you're aware of it and you know what's going on, you can catch it. You can see it before you get scammed. And again, you don't know who's reading your energy. I get people in my DMs, since I'm like reaching out and connecting, and they're asking if I want readings. I'm like, no, I don't want you. I specifically tell them, one, I channel my own guides and angels every day. And two, I don't want anyone interfering with my energy field. I do not want someone projecting their consciousness and trying to read my energy. I don't want them interfering with me. I'm very specific about who I allow into my energy field, and it needs to be like a co-creation and an agreement. And so be very, very careful about who you let do readings for you. Be careful, do your due diligence if you do readings. And if you choose that's not for you, that's okay too, right? There's so many other beautiful things you can do to take your power back, to be in your power, to take your free will, and to create the life that you really want to create, because you are a powerful being. You're amazing. You are beautiful. You are love. You are light. You are unlimited in everything you can see, do, feel, and experience in this lifetime. And I really encourage you to just be with that. So with that said, sorry about that long warning. I just really felt like it was absolutely needed to be said. With that said, I love you. I care about you so much. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. Leave me any comments that you have about this subject below. Be sure to subscribe, like, and hit that bell. And of course, if you want to binge watch on all of my amazing content, I've got lots of playlists on my YouTube page and tons of new content coming out all the time for you. So enjoy, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode.